Why, hello there, everyone. It's nice to see you all. Well, I suppose I'll get into my day now, since that's the whole point of this channel. Just a vlog of a record keeping of how my day goes go. So, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So, I remember I was asleep until I'm pretty sure 10 o'clock. And I was trying to do that sleep astral projection meditation that caused me to have that intense vibrational sensation a few days ago. Um, I think I didn't really have that happen again, but I did have a fairly vivid dream where I was in a woodland, foresty, hilly area, walking up a hill, and then I looked behind me and I noticed there was like what I described as like buildings that looked like they were like businesses in there, uh, down the hill, and at the very end of the trail looked to be a black bear that saw me, or not. No, actually didn't see me. It was walking away from me, and then like it stopped and turned around. And when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, I better look this way and not make eye contact. Otherwise, I'm going to get eaten," was my logic in the dream. In real life, I honestly don't know what I'd do. I remember being scared, like walking in the dream, hoping that the bear wouldn't chase after me and I wouldn't have to, you know, figure out a way of surviving that. Because those things could probably take you out real easily. Until eventually I arrived at what I would describe as a very minimalist woodland cabin that was very fancy. It was like, big glass open window, big open glass windows, a mahogany wood, stone, like platforms, staircase going up. It was looked really Art Deco-y, like really fancy. I just remember I was in there and I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of cool." And so I walked out and down a different trail and then up like around this like mountainous like hiking trail looking area until eventually I came across what looked to be a ragtag group of individuals who looked to be like in their like late teens early 20s who were just hanging out in what looked to be a left behind crashed personal airplane, um, just looking at like just chilling out. And I said hello, and I remember I would started talking about like CRT technology, cathode ray tubes for those who wonder what that means. They were, and I like was like, yeah, those are like TVs that were really prominent for a really long time. They were like important from like the 1950s all the way to the early 2000s, and then we switched over to flat panels like that after like 2005. Pretty interesting, no? And then after that, like that's when the dream ended. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. Well, anywho, after that whole experience, I remember I was up an atom, and my mom wanted me to make pancakes for breakfast. So I got out a recipe. I got some self-rising flour, some milk, some butter, some eggs, some salt, some sugar, um, you know, vanilla extract. I mixed it all together, and my mom heated up the pan, and we decided to use ghee to cook the pancakes with, and yeah, it came out pretty good, I would say. Um, and after we're done eating them, my mom wanted to finish the ant video that we have been working on for quite a while now. I'd say, like, if I were to put a number on it, like around 24 to 32 hours worth of work on this video in particular. And she wanted to continue working on it today. So I was like, all right, well, let's just knock this out. So yeah, last night I was working with her on it, and I just remember being so tired. Like I had zero mental energy because I had completed like an 8-hour shift, and I was like just barely clamoring for consciousness at that point. But because like I got full night's rest and I was up and at 'em in the morning, like, and got my food and coffee, I was ready to go, and I had coffee with pancakes, by the way. So we sat together in the den where the television was, and we got to work on this new ant video. We were working on the ending, and I remember I was really annoyed how long the ending was. I was like, oh my gosh, this ending's forever, and I wanted to speed it up by using Dance 2 and using the storyboards and as like references and just describing the scene. So Dance 2 could simply just render the scene using the storyboards as a reference. And I gotta be honest, when we started, I was not putting my heart into it. I literally just said, hey, ChatGPT, just generate the frames based on what you think would be most appropriate and how the dialogue is being presented. And it would generate, and we'd be like, yeah, that's fine, let's use that. And we'd send over the storyboard with the prompt that GPT also wrote. And it would give us a final result. And overall, the process was going smoothly, but there was some things along the way that were really annoying that were a bit hampering. For example, sometimes the narrator's voice just completely changed into like a different accent. Like Mrs. Rumble, we decided we were gonna make British, even though it was like my mom's face on like a bumblebee's body. Pretty funny. But yeah, my mom's not British, she's American. So yeah, it's kind of odd, but I guess it works for like a storybook kind of like, vibe. And we have like Mrs. Rumble reading to a bunch of like insects, like children, like a story about like this guy called Joey who loses his electronics because he didn't patch his roof before rain came and destroyed all of his electronics, rendering them completely useless. So yeah, we put that in there, and yeah, what can I say? It was we had to do like a few passes because sometimes the storyboard would show up in the generation when we didn't want it to. Sometimes like the design of the character would change too drastically, which is not what we want. We want to keep those character designs consistent. And we had to, go through quite a long, arduous process of downloading footage we liked, taking some narration. We had to generate the Lady Rumble, like reading the narration on her own. Because when we tried to do the scene with the narration, it did like a different accent, which is not what we wanted. So we had to put like a picture of her reading the story to the ant or the insect children, and then say the British narrator reads this dialogue, and then we took that and we had to extract the audio from that footage and kind of cut it in with like the entire thing. With the entire scene of like Joey playing out, and it was very complex and very arduous because we wanted to time like the voice. My sister even came in, youngest sister, and she would like look at what we were doing and say, yeah, I mean, it's decent, but it also is going a little too fast and we need things to slow down so it feels like there's like there's a presence being built in this video. And we did what we could. We slowed down like her speech, like using the speed feature on the app we were using, which was InShot. And yeah, we just did our absolute best to try to get exactly the results we were shooting for. And things were working out pretty well. But then my mom wanted to put in a scene where Mrs. Rumble reads out Bible scripture, and no matter how many times we sent the Mrs. Rumble reading out the scripture, Dance 2 just would not generate it. So then we decided to go for a little lunch break, recuperate. My mom made some sliders, hamburger sliders. I had 4 along with a bag of chips, some hot Cheetos, and an A&W Zero Sugar, and I finished the rest of my mom's can of, I forget, it's like a grapefruit like soda. I'm forgetting the name of. Fresca, I think is what it's called, maybe. And we decided to watch a brand new Y-Files episode that released called The Third Man. And in this video, it was basically discussing how there have been many examples of different people in very close near-death experiences where it seemed like all hope was lost and they were going to just die. But then they describe like a voice coming out of nowhere and telling them, hey, I'm here to tell you to keep moving forward, keep on pushing through, and before you know it, you'll make it. And lo and behold, a lot of these different people ended up surviving after following the instructions of the voice. And this has been apparently a thing that's been going on for a while. And, it was a really interesting video because it, brings into question, what is the third man? Is it like someone's valued like, person from beyond the grave trying to protect them? Is it an angel, a guardian angel? I'm not sure, but it was a very interesting video for sure. Then after that, me, my mom, our family friend, and my sister were discussing the video, saying, have we heard any like voices like when we were in dangerous situations? And well, my mom did say that when she was a kid, she didn't hear like what she describes an angelic voice saying her name, and her like wondering what was that. That was about it, and everything else. None of us had experienced the third man, whatever that is. So, yeah, but very fascinating video altogether. Now, then my mom needed to leave for work. So when she left, I decided to decompress by going into my room and watching a guy talk about how hopeless it seems the teaching environment for Gen Alpha is. He was basically discussing how the teachers are like quitting en masse because like apparently the children of today just don't have any patience anymore to, like learn anything or have any long-standing deeper knowledge that will continue for a really long time. It seems like their attention spans and their patience has been completely decimated due to over-reliance on technology like iPads and iPhones. And honestly, this is pretty scary because this is our future we have here. And the fact that like it seems like teachers are quitting and our future citizens seem like they're having difficulties just sitting and paying attention and actually caring about what's happening around them, it is honestly scary and makes you wonder, oh gosh, what's going to happen in the next like 10 to 15 years with this generation taking over as the main working class? Like, is there going to be riots in the streets? Is there going to be like complete anarchy and chaos? Like, I would hope not, but the best we can really hope for is, parents like my age take responsibility and, don't like have their kids rely on, iPads or technology at all. Keep that stuff away from them. I'd say like, I'm no parent, I don't have any kids, but I think it's kind of irresponsible to like give your kid an iPad personally, because again, we've seen the results. It lowers their attention spans. It just makes them really impatient, and it just it makes real life, which is why we're all here in the first place, seem really boring. And that's just very sad, and we don't want that. We want like a strong and healthy future for the next generation. And the only way we can do that is to ensure they spend as much time in the real world as humanly possible. So yeah, I am grateful though that people are trying to take precautions. Like when I'm at work doing my job, and we have families come over getting their stuff bagged. Like we see that it's not completely hopeless because like the parents and their kids are interacting with the real world and they're not relying on the iPad. It is freaky when it does happen and you see the end result of how they're like not fully in tune with the real world, and you're like, oh no, this is scary. But yeah, pretty interesting. Anywho, moving along, after that, I decided to go up and tell my sister about the little animation project that I've been working on for quite a while now. It's basically me recording my vlog and then doing drawings based on it. And I was spurred on to show this because of when I showed that AI video last night. It was interesting. Like, the reaction from my youngest sister and our family friend and my mom was like, "Ooh, that's kind of cool." But my middle sister was like, "Ooh, everything's AI. That's AI. That's AI. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong." Just kept on saying that's wrong over and over again. And you didn't do that. That was AI. That you didn't do that. That was AI. And I'm like, well, the AI did generate the video and the pictures, but I directed the shots. I edited the footage. I tried to get it to convey an emotion. I didn't just tell the AI, make this video in one go, and that's that. I was trying to craft like a scene and an environment and just intrigue, and I don't know, I feel like, sure, the AI did generate the footage and the imagery, but I was involved too. But she just seemed like she was pointing at all the flaws, and I mean, I understand it wasn't perfect. There was a lot of flaws in there. I'm not gonna say this is my magnum opus. I'm gonna be an AI content creator from now on. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is I did put effort in, and I feel like I should deserve just a little bit more credit. And I feel like it's kind of a shame that all was given to me was flaw after flaw. But I understand. It's because my sister, she's an artist. She draws, and her future, her job is threatened by this technology. And so she's naturally going to be far more critical of it. And I totally understand. But I'm not wanting to make this like a career. I just was having a little bit of fun and showing off my little bit of fun and treating it like it's something like I'm seriously considering, or was making in a way that where I'm gonna make money off of this by just pointing out all flaws. I don't know, if she did something for fun and she showed me, I wouldn't just constantly be saying that sucks, that sucks, that sucks. I would be saying, oh, that was interesting. Yeah. But anywho, on a long enough time about that. I think you get the point. Anywho, moving along. What happened after that was I was like, well, me, my mom, and my sister, we did get into a conversation about the nature of using AI for creating video content. And my sister did have some really good points. My youngest sister, not my middle sister, who was the one constantly criticizing the video. She was, giving me some credit for the direction and the story and all that, and which was nice. But yeah, she also did mention a fair and balanced point of view of the of how she sees the technology, which is that even though I did direct and kind of ask for the visual design of the shots and all, she did say I preferred if you did everything from scratch, because it's honestly more it feels like it's more intimately crafted when it's your own hand at the wheel, and also just feels like the AI kind of just boils things down to just the most generic version of that thing that you're after. And I feel like there could be so much more you could do, and I'm like, yes, I understand. And so that's why I do my little animatics that every now and then I record my voice, and then I try to draw like a little storyboard based on my narration. And that's what I showed my youngest sister, and she was like, "Ooh, that was really cool. I liked that. How long did that take for those frames that you did?" And I said, "Well, it took me about like, I'd say like 4 hours to do that, and it was like only like, I'd say 15 to 20 seconds worth of like, footage." But yeah, she seemed to like that. And then she was asking if I heard about like AI data centers and stuff, and I was like, yes, I'm fully aware of AI data centers. They're building them in populated areas that are giving people like bad anxiety because they have really awful sound pollution. They're taking up a lot of water, and they're devaluing property, and they're footing the bill of electricity onto the consumers instead of the big corporations paying for it and all that, even though they've got a whole lot of money already and whatnot. And it's just pure, unadulterated, unfiltered, ugly greed. And yeah, she was like, "Oh, well, so you do know about that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fully aware. I've seen like a State of the Union video about it." And then we like had this conversation about like the thing is, like, when you're working on projects and having fun, you're so caught up with the technology because it's so shiny, new, exciting, gives you exactly what you want when you want, and that's so cool, and I really really enjoy that. But yeah, the thing is with the the like the thing is, we kind of lose our appreciation for the little things, for the things we took for granted, for like for example, like traditional animation or art where you see like, the artist's hand in every single frame, and people, like, they don't really pay attention to that stuff at first because it's always there, and they get used to it, and they're like, "Oh, that's fine," and they move on with their lives. But then when that's away and all you have is stuff that's like very like synthetic and manufactured, it definitely makes you look back on that past with more of an appreciation for the things that you didn't appreciate before. And then it reminded me of this episode from this old puppet show called Dinosaurs, where they decided to end the show with all the characters literally dying at the end from a nuclear winter due to nature, with these little beetles like having to travel all across the land in order to like repopulate, but they're harming the manufacture of like wax fruit. So the CEO of the wax fruit company decides to atomic bomb all of the nesting areas all around the world, which causes a nuclear winter and causes everyone to be locked in their houses, and essentially die of freezing and starvation. It's a pretty dark end to what was otherwise seen as a fairly, typical but also very imaginative and interesting puppet. So I guess not typical, more like unique. That was the wrong way of saying it. I don't know why I said that. But anyways, a unique, interesting puppet show like Dinosaurs. But yeah, really. And then when I showed her like the clip of like the guy saying, "I think we went a teensy bit too far this time," and then like the CEO was like, "What do you mean? Stop being environmentalists. Can't you see that we're having the best third quarter history? That's a fourth quarter problem. We'll drop a bomb on that bridge when we get to it. Right now, I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with all this money. Ha 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 ha." And then like I showed my sister the very end scene, and it was basically the guy saying, "Hey guys, I'm sorry about the end of the world. There's no world for my family to look forward to because we're all going to be locked in our cabins and eventually die." And then that's the end. And my sister was like thinking it was so funny the whole time because of how like it kind of reflects like what we're going through right now with our current state of AI, where we're so obsessed with technological superiority and progress that we're not exactly paying attention to the long-term ramifications of what this will do to our planet or to our citizens who are around these data centers and stuff. And that caused her to like have a good chuckle with how like art imitates life and vice versa. Now, anywho, then I wanted to show her the Dr. G analyzed the UFO files of the moon missions, 2 moon missions, where some astronauts like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, and the other guy, I'm forgetting his name, sadly, along with the other crew, they were talking about these strange objects that they were seeing outside in their spaceship window. And these new photos released that had these reflective objects way off in the distance on the lunar surface. And it was just really interesting seeing these videos and just or photos, and then seeing the videos of them like being like interviewed and them clearly looking uncomfortable talking about what they saw and like fidgeting with their hands and being like, I'm not really sure about this. You know, it was very interesting indeed. So yeah, after we watched that, my mom arrived. She rewrote the ending so that way we could generate it easily for that ant video. But before we did that, she wanted some housework done. So I mowed the front lawn, but then the lawnmower, which is gas powered, ran out of fuel. So my mom asked me to drive over to a nearby hardware store to get some fuel for it. So I was like, all right. Drove over to the nearest hardware store, got some gas and some oil, drove back. We had difficulties opening the oil canister, but we eventually figured it out. And when we were pouring it, a neighbor came by and thought I was trying to help us out. We thanked them, but we were like, yeah, we got this. After we poured that in, I went back to work on the lawn. I continued mowing it. Before I finished mowing the lawn, though, when we were filling up, our neighbor was like trying to talk to us, but we had difficulty understanding what they were trying to communicate to us. So we were polite. We tried hearing them out, and we couldn't really understand. So we just smiled and so we had to get back to our chores. I went off, got some water, came back. My mom was talking to another neighbor. We were just talking about what we were doing, and then after that, I continued doing the lawn mowing work. As I was doing the work, I was listening to a Digital Foundry podcast with John Lenderman, Richard Ledbetter, and Oliver McKenzie, talking about the new Star Fox game and how its visuals look like a good improvement over previous Nintendo fare. Talking about the disappointing Switch 2 price hike of up to $50, which pretty much just comes down to the sudden increase in RAM prices due to AI data centers consuming RAM like extremely heavily. And then they talked about like the anniversary of the GTX 1080 card, and yeah, that was pretty much it. And after all of that, I mowed the front yard, I mowed the backyard, and I used the weed whacker to cut like the edges down of the grass until when we were done, our family friend had. Oh yeah, and then I brought up our pool vacuum. I cleaned the inside of the pool vacuum, put the filter back in, dumped it back in the pool, turned it on. And then our family friend called us in for dinner. So we went in for dinner. We had some roast beef, some rice, and some sautéed vegetables. And it was very good. I very much enjoyed it. Very delicious. And yeah, we just hung out, and afterwards, me and my mom got back to work on our ant video, where we continued working on the ending. We finally got what we wanted. Took a few generations. Then we asked Google Syria 3 to generate some background music for it. Then we generated a final clip of like the 6 ants coming in and holding up leaves that said "the end," that spelled "the end." I tried to fix the beginning where the lady was singing, the lady ant was singing, to have her mouth match the lyrics. And then we exported the file. I sent my mom published the video on her YouTube channel, and sent it to all of her friends. And then we watched it together on the TV. Before we did, I was listening to some like Zelda Majora's Mask music, specifically the Observatory theme. I really enjoy that theme. I think it's very magical and blissful sounding. And then I was like, as I was listening to it, I was like thinking, man, Majora's Mask would have made a great like edgy, dark fantasy, like early, like 2008, like animated film of some kind. You know, I felt like dark fantasy animated films were really prevalent around that time period. Like what we had, Nine, we had Corpse Bride, we had Coraline. There was probably a few more I'm missing out on, but yeah, lots of dark fantasy movies during that era. Not exactly sure what was in the year 2008, but it was a magical time for sure, I would say. All right, well, moving along. We all watched the video together, and my sister said she thought it was cute and that she was glad that me and my mom had a good time making it. Then she said she wanted to show us a video of like Agenda 2045. And so she showed us this. It was like the same, I kid you not, this video was like the same, had the same narrator as "The man has fallen into the river in Lego City" voice, if anyone knows what that is. And it was basically this guy talking about how in the future we're going to be combined with biological technology, and pretty soon we're all going to have brain neural interfaces along with being able to create our own matrix and all that. And yeah, it was basically talking about like how the future will be a blend of human and machine. But the freakiest part was it said like millions of people will be able to have access to this. And then the comment section, everyone kept saying, why does it say millions? There's billions of people on the earth. Is it suggesting there's going to be some kind of population control where a large portion of the population will die to satisfy the rich and elite? So yeah, it was a pretty interesting video. And then my sister showed me and my mom and her family friend the video of like the AI data centers taking over, and how they're really bad for the environment and the people who live near them, and like it's making it really hard for them to live there. And it was just a really interesting video that did a lot of explaining. And then after that, we all what did we do after that? I brought up like nuclear rockets because that was like part of what they were talking about in like the Agenda 2045 videos. So I brought that up on YouTube, and it was like a video from 2 weeks ago. It was basically a guy talking about how NASA's making a nuclear powered rocket to send people to Mars, like scout drones, so that way you can scan and survey the area, and so we can create, settlements on the red planet. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that ultimately turns out. Very fascinated about that. Then I needed to use the restroom. When I was done, I said goodnight to my mom, our family friend. I didn't see my sister. If I see her after recording this, I'll be sure to say goodnight to her. And then I started to record this video. So that's pretty much my day today in a nutshell. Thank you so much for watching. Very much appreciated. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody, and have yourselves a great night. Goodbye.